makes it back into recovery. Not everybody gets the chance to come off stuff because it's too late.
Do you believe in like spirits, like good, evil?
Yeah, yeah. I believe there's an angel. I believe there's a devil. I believe there's good spirits. There's bad spirits. I believe all of that stuff, man.
Any experiences yourself?
So my pilgrimage, when I went on my pilgrimage, I felt such a huge connection. That's like I said, I felt like taking Amrit, and I had a voice in my head, and I was speaking. It was like I was, well, it wasn't even like I was speaking to Guru Gobind Singh Ji. He was
Really?
talking to me in my head, telling me what to do. And I used to have asthma. I still have got it, but at that time, it went away for a while. I threw my inhaler away and everything, like because he told me to. And it's weird. Like if like, I speak to some people and they'll go, "That's crazy, bro. What are you talking about?"
Hmm.
Nah. I'm like, well, that's my experience. You know, it happened, and there was other things that happened while I was there, and I saw pictures and I saw stuff coming up in pictures, and it was unreal, man. It was
Hmm.
unreal. But if you have a belief and you believe strongly in something, I guess that's the only way when your uh, certain chakras open and certain parts of your brain open up to it.
Hmm.
If you keep those things shut down anyway, you're not going to believe and you're not going to see anything. You're not going to
Hmm.
let anything in.
Hmm.
You have to kind of be in that kind of vibe, in that kind of space to allow these things to come into your life.
Do you meditate?
I do, yeah, I do in the mornings. Not for long, maybe like a minute or so. But I've always found that quite hard
Hmm.
to kind of sit. Well, so from 3 years ago, when I used to party, I used to find it very hard to sit in my own space.
Hmm.
Right, I couldn't sit still.
Hmm.
Like I'd go away for a gig, and I'd be at a hotel, and I'd find somewhere to go after the gig, even if it's 1 o'clock in the morning, because I just can't sit still.
Hmm.
Now it's not like that. Now I'm content in my own company, and I'm content in my own space.
Hmm.
So I can sit back and just chill and be in a room with myself,
Hmm.
order some room service, watch a bit of telly, and go to sleep. I'm okay with that now, but
Hmm.
I never used to be.
You do seem like you're 100 miles per hour sometimes. You're not like
Yeah,
ADHD or anything like that.
I
Like,
don't know.
I mean, it's like that's an ability.
Yeah,
An
yeah.
ability where the school system says, that's a disability, you have this issue, that problem. But some of the most smartest people
Mm.
are on the spectrum, but very high functioning.
Yeah, yeah.
You're very fast.
You know what it is? I think it's because of the industry that I'm in as well, because I'm always on my toes. Like now, I've
Mm,
just done 3 gigs. I was in
mm,
Saturday, I flew to Glasgow. Then we
okay.
drove to Edinburgh. We did a gig. Sunday morning, flew to Denmark. Went there, did a
Wow.
gig. This yesterday afternoon, flew back to London. Did a gig last night in Heathrow, and then today got up, showered, got things done, and then I'm here.
Yeah.
Right. So my life is 100 miles an hour.
Wow.
So sometimes I have to slow myself down.
Mm. How do you balance your personal life at home with wife and kids
Yeah.
with your job, which is very highly demanded, traveling,
Mm,
obviously days away?
yeah.
How do you balance
Um,
work life balance?
it's now become, it's become quite easy to balance now because now I'm sober as well. I don't spend any longer than I need to wherever I go. I'm in and out, back, and when I'm here, 100%. Like
Hmm.
I'm involved, I'm present, and I'm there with my kids to
Hmm.
do things that people in a 9 to 5 can't do.
Hmm.
you know so
It's true.
that's the balance, because they know when, okay, daddy's going now, but he's going for work.
Hmm.
I'm not going on a jolly for 3 days. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? I'm
Yes.
going to make sure that everything's looked after. But when I'm back, guess what? I got a 3-day window
Yeah.
where I'm switching off and I'm just with my kids. And
Hmm.
I can drop them off to school. I can pick them up. I can take them to their outside school activities. I
Yeah.
can spend time with my wife. I can do all of that.
Yeah.
And then 2 days I might have to go again. But
Hmm.
it's cool
Hmm.
because that's the nature of my business.
Absolutely.
So we're used to that.
Yes.
But when it was fueled with alcohol before, those 2 days I'd come back and I'd be bloody not, I wouldn't be present because I'm recovering
Hmm.
from the 3 days I've been away, and then I'm going again, and then that's where there's a problem. And that's where obviously I had to kind of make changes. And,
Yeah.
you know, fortunately, we've made those now. So,
Absolutely.
mm.
Well, thank you so much for sharing that part of your journey. I'm not going to go right to the beginning right now
Mm-hmm.
because we will go there.
Cool.
But right now, I want to go to sort of, I wouldn't even call it the middle, but I would just call it the sort of stardom years.
Okay.
I want to talk about them sort of things. So
Mm-hmm.
I want to talk about some of your singles, you know, let's
Yeah.
tell the people at home what you're about, what you're made of, bro. So in 2002, you made something with Rishi Ridge.
Yep.
Is it Nahin Gina?
Najina. Yeah, yeah. So that was my step into the industry, man. That was the turning point. You know, that was me being given an opportunity by a music producer, a renowned music producer who I'd never heard of at the time, because he did 10 albums before I met him, but they were Bollywood albums, right? Bollywood remix albums with some of the biggest names in Bollywood, right? But I had no idea because I was never into Bollywood. I was a proper Desi Bendu, born here, but loved my roots, Desi roots music from Punjab.
Yeah.
And that's what I listened to. Kuldeep Manak and Surinder Shindar and people like that. I don't know if you know of them,
Come
but
on.
they're old school, right?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
But not everyone does,
Yeah,
right? Like
yeah.
nowadays, like the youngsters now, they're all these Gen Zs. You play a Kuldeep Manak song, they can't even understand what
don't
you're
know.
talking about.
Unless it's
right?
remixed and upbeated.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. So, you know, Najina was, I'd been singing probably about 12, 13 years performing before I met Rishi. And I was like 23 at the time I met him, got introduced through a mutual friend, went in the studio, got a meeting with him, and he asked me to sing my favorite song at that time. And even now, it was Put Sardarande by Bulwinder Safari. And I sang about, maybe got to about 40 seconds in the vocal booth. And he was like, all right, cool, that's enough, come. And I was like, oh, damn, he didn't like it, you know? And called me out and he was like, okay. He goes, so, you know what? He goes, I like your vibe, man. He goes, I didn't expect that. I said, what do you mean? He said, like you sang this like really desi song.
What did you sing?
But Sardana de.
Can you give us a
Yeah,
little?
it's he goes, ਬਹੁਤੇ ਦੁਖੀਓ ਚੱਲਦੇ ਕੌਮ ਬਦਲੇ ਬੰਦੇ ਕੌਮਾਂ ਦੇ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਦਲੇਰ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਕੌਣ ਪੁੱਛਦਾ ਕਾਵਾਂ ਤੇ ਗਿੱਦੜਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਤੇ ਕੈਦ ਪਿੰਜਰੇ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਸ਼ੇਰ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਹੋ ਰਸਤੇ ਖੁੱਲੇ ਕਰ ਦੂੰ ਸਾਰੀ ਗਲੀ ਬਾਜ਼ਾਰਾਂ ਦੇ ਸ਼ੇਰਾਂ ਵਾਂਗੂ ਘੁੰਮਦੇ ਫਿਰਦੇ ਪੁੱਤ ਸਰਦਾਰਾਂ ਦੇ ਸ਼ੇਰਾਂ ਵਾਂਗੂ ਘੁੰਮਦੇ ਫਿਰਦੇ ਪੁੱਤ ਸਰਦਾਰਾਂ ਦੇ
Come on.
Thank you. So,
Wicked,
yeah, that
my
was my
G.
favorite song, man. Thank you.
Some
My
of that
voice is a
king
bit-
energy, bro.
My voice is a bit mash up at the moment. I've done 3 shows back to back, but that was my favorite song. But I sang that for him and I was like, oh no, he didn't like it. And he was like, no, I like your style. I like your vibe. He goes, but I don't want you to do that vibe. I was like, okay, what do you mean? And I said, but this is what I do. I'm like, I sing like dissy stuff, right? And he's like, nah. He goes, I want you to sing on my album. And I was like, oh, wow, okay. He said, got an album coming out and I want you to do a song for that for me. And if you're up for it. And I was like, yeah, man, I'd love to. He goes, but I want you to do pop Punjabi music.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, okay.
What was your understanding of that?
I actually asked him, I said, well, what do you mean? He said, like, you know, like very like kind of Taz kind of vibe, kind of, you know, very pop kind of music. And I was like, oh, okay. I said, yeah, I've never done that kind of stuff. And he's like, but I think you can. I was like, he goes, you've got the look. Like, you know, I was young Southall boy. And, you know, I think I went to see him in my tracksuit. And he was like, yeah. He goes, I like that vibe. And I think you'll be good at pop music rather than that dissy stuff. He goes, and to be fair, if you do desi stuff, at that time, desi music was quite big. And he said, everyone's doing desi stuff, right? All the old singers are like quite big right now. They're big with their whole desi vibe. He goes, and to get recognized, you got to go against the grain, right? Come with something different, something fresh. And I was like, okay. I said, all right, look, man, look, it's for your album. You know what you're doing. Right, I'm confident. I'm just very grateful that you've asked me to sing on your album. So let's do it. And he's like, all right, cool. He goes, when can you come back? And I think I went to see him on a Sunday, and I said, "You tell me." He goes, "Okay." He goes, "Come back in on Wednesday." He goes, "I'm gonna call a writer." He goes, "Can you write?" And I went, "Nah, I've never written a song in my life."
Mhm.
And he went, "Okay." He goes, "Come in on Wednesday. I'll call a writer down, and we'll do a studio session." I was like, "Okay, cool." So went back in on the Wednesday, and he called this guy. His name's Daljit.